Hi everyone, Chef Hamel here, and today I am going to make some easy banana cookies. So a lot of these ingredients should be in your pantry at home, and if not, there are some easy substitutions that you can make so that you can make these delicious and healthy cookies at home. So the first ingredient is 2 to 3 ripe bananas. I'm going to start with 2. If I need a third, I do have a third. There's also a tablespoon of coconut oil, which is melted. We have 1 egg, which we broke up and scrambled in a little bowl. We have a 1.25 cups of old-fashioned oats, a teaspoon of cinnamon. The recipe calls for 2 teaspoons of chia seeds. I didn't have any on hand, but I do have some ground flax seeds, so I'm going to use that instead. 3 tablespoons of chocolate chips. I may have added a few extra. And the recipe calls for 2 tablespoons of collagen peptides. So I actually happen to have some on hand because I do put these in my smoothies. Collagen is really good for your hair, your skin, your nails, and it also adds a little bit of extra protein to the cookie. So obviously totally optional if you don't have them. I don't expect most people to just have this in their pantry. Then you can totally omit that. If you don't have any bananas on hand, you could use pumpkin puree in the can. You could also use applesauce, so you might have one of those at home. If you don't have coconut oil, you can substitute avocado oil or olive oil if you have those on hand instead. Vegetable oil would work too. And I think most people would have most of these ingredients. Obviously, if you don't have flax seeds and chia seeds, that's completely fine. I'm also going to add some walnuts because I have some on hand and I really like walnuts. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to mash our bananas. The riper, the better. These were pretty ripe though. We want them to be as completely smooth as possible. No chunks or any, but big chunks anyway. Good. There we go. Now we can add our egg. Make sure we get all of that out with a rubber spatula. We can add our coconut oil. Really great oil to cook with. I'm gonna mix this together. If you still feel like the banana has some big chunks in it, you can go back and mash it more if you want. But I kind of like that there are some little chunks in there. All right, we're gonna set this aside. Now in another bowl, we're going to mix all of the dry ingredients. So I have my oats, my chocolate chips. I have a little bit of coconut, which I'm going to add just because I happen to see some in my cabinet and I love coconut. Again, optional. My collagen peptides, again, optional. My ground flax seeds, my cinnamon, and my walnuts. This recipe you could kind of add and take away any ingredients that you have. It kind of depends on what you have on hand, which is kind of the beauty of baking. We'll mix this all together. Alrighty. So now we're going to add it all together, the dry ingredients into the wet ingredients. And we're going to mix it up. This recipe doesn't have any baking powder or baking soda in it, so the cookies themselves are not really going to spread. So however you scoop them onto your sheet pan or your cookie sheet is kind of the shape that's going to stay. So you'll see once I start scooping them, we're gonna need to kind of flatten them a little so that they don't just cook in one big ball. That looks good. Beautiful. So now I have a cookie sheet prepared with some parchment paper. I prefer to use parchment paper to line my cookie sheets with because it's easy cleanup. It's also non-stick and it's also heat resistant. A lot of people, I think, don't realize that parchment paper can go into the oven. This parchment paper specifically is from Costco. It says on the packaging it can be heated up to 420 degrees, but I've never had a problem with cooking with parchment paper. I use it almost exclusively at school, whether it's for baking or cooking, for anything that goes in the oven really. So I have a really nice portion scoop here. Any kind of scoop will do, or if you don't have a scoop, a spoon, a tablespoon size will be perfect. So I'm going to level off my cookie dough on the side of the bowl and make nice little mounds. Now obviously the cookies are not going to be absolutely perfect in shape, but that's okay. They're rustic. Just means they're all that more delicious. And the nice thing about this recipe too is that there's no added sugar in the recipe. All of the sugar comes from the bananas themselves. And of course the chocolate chips, because you need chocolate chips. So these are going to go into a preheated oven at 350 degrees for about 10 to 15 minutes or until the edges start to get brown. I'm going to post the link to the recipe below in the description. If you have any questions, please comment them below. If you make these at home, I'd love to see pictures. At this point, once we fill up our cookie sheet, we have to go back and kind of flatten the cookies a little bit, like I said, because they won't spread. You can kind of use your spatula to flatten them. Or you could use the back of a spoon or even a fork. And these will be a nice, chewy, and soft oatmeal banana cookie. Again, like I said, any other ingredients you have on hand would be nice, like craisins or raisins. Even if you had peanut butter chips, that I think would be really delicious in this recipe too. Ready? So these are going to go in the oven for about 10 to 15 minutes, and when they're done, I will show you what they look like. Hey everyone, welcome back. So these are the finished cookies. Don't they look so great? So I let them cool on a cooling rack for a few minutes after they came out of the oven. Let's see. They look so good. They're a little bit crispy on the sides, but really nice and soft in the middle. And delicious. Really strong banana flavor if you like bananas. So these would be really great with pumpkin or applesauce too if you didn't have bananas on hand. If you do make these at home, please comment below and let me know, because I'd be curious to see what you think of them. If you have any questions, again, comment, and thank you for watching.